Hello everyone! Joe Bags here. Sorry a little late on this post, but some crazy things have been happening in my real life outside of these vlogs. But either way, I just want to start off by saying I totally called this episode existing. Alright, so today's review is of the recent episode Bloom and Gloom of My Little Pony, and this is an episode that dives into the lifestyle and thought processing of Apple Bloom, sort of the main leader of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, or CMC, the little trio within the main cast of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. She becomes very concerned about whether or not she's going to actually like having a cutie mark. For those who are just tuning in and don't know what a cutie mark is, what those basically are is that whenever you buy a little My Little Pony, on their hind quarter is a little picture. And that's what a cutie mark is. And in this recent incarnation of the show, cutie mark is supposed to be a vague representation of a pony's destiny, and what their main traits are supposed to be, what their inherent life skills are going to be. The pony I drew of myself has a paint pad with colors that change depending on his mood and inspiration. Right now his mood would probably be colors that represent writer's block. So anyway, cutie marks aside, Apple Bloom comes across some very specific issues about cutie marks, and pretty soon starts having nightmares about these cutie marks and what they mean, whether or not she's going to like them, dislike them, and I honestly thought they handled that aspect pretty well. It really dives into sort of the mindset of stress about growing up, trying to hurry up and advance in the world, what with technology just advancing so quickly, and now we have to compete for careers on a global scale. But throughout the whole episode, one of the themes was every time Apple Bloom would wake up, she was in another aspect that she worried about her cutie mark affecting her. Like, she didn't like the career path, she would break up with her friends, her family would disown her, and she would go absolutely haywire. And throughout the whole episode, I was just thinking about Inception, and I just couldn't help but make Inception jokes throughout the whole thing. And pretty soon Princess Luna comes in and calms everything down, and then gets Apple Bloom and her friends Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle together, and they discuss the overall future and what would happen to them if they were to receive their cutie marks. And in the end, they conclude that no matter what your future comes to, no matter what your background is, it's not really going to change who you really are. I think the message could have been spoken a little bit more differently, or like better, or something like that. Like, I am an artist, so I do have an eye for things, but I also have a whole lot of other attributes about me that I'd like. So either way, I will say that this is hands down the best Apple Bloom episode. Now, my thoughts towards Apple Bloom as a character. Now, Apple Bloom and the Cutie Mark Crusaders, I am thoroughly convinced that the character designers and voice actresses, they genetically modified these characters to be the most adorable things on the entire planet. And I don't have a problem with that as long as there's good character personality behind them, and thank goodness there is. Apple Bloom is kind of spunky, sporadic, always full of energy, trying to find new things to do or new ways to help out her friends. And most of the episodes that revolve around her focus on the aspects of growing up. And until this point, I really didn't care much for the episodes, even though I really liked Apple Bloom as a character. The only episodes where she really stood out were when she was working off of her friends or working off of the rest of her family. But, yeah, as per the Princess Luna thing, that is exactly what I was referring to when I said, I totally called it Luna Apple Bloom. Because in the previous 2 seasons, the rest of the Cutie Mark Crusaders had moments where they were having dreams about aspects of their lives they were struggling with. For Scootaloo in Season 3 at Look Before You Sleep, her struggle was trying to live up to the standards of her idol Rainbow Dash, and she was having trouble with fears and addressing things she did not like. In Season 4, it was For Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils, where Sweetie Belle has some sister problems and has a hard time seeing eye to eye and often feels outshadowed by Rarity in a Christmas Carol fashion, which that is one of the most original renditions of a Christmas Carol I've seen. And then, of course, we have Gloom and Bloom, where Sweetie Belle is trying, not Sweetie Belle, Apple Bloom is trying to, overcome these fears. I will say that there are questions to Luna's motivations and how she chooses exactly when to intervene. But then again, people do learn by experience, and sometimes you just have to get brutal. Tough love. Nice to see Luna learns from her sister very well. So yeah, out of those 3 episodes, my favorite is still For Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils. If by default Sweetie Belle is the one I think is the most adorable out of all of them, but that's just me. All around very good. I liked how it dived into sort of the psychology and for some reason had telepathic mind control throughout the whole thing. It must have been the princess's doing. I will say that this episode does get edgy when Apple Bloom becomes concerned that her family would disown her, and it is just, it's, my goodness. For kids! Seeing this really harsh scenario where her grandmother, brother, and sister are just belittling her and scolding her for existing, and I'm surprised that flew by the censors. Yeah, just one of those things that comes across as a shock, but thankfully it was just a dream. Like, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, this wouldn't happen with anyone in the Apple family. They may be stubborn by nature, but they wouldn't do this to their own kind. And so yeah, all around, definitely a step up from Castle Sweet Castle. Not quite on the same level as the Cutie Mark map or Cutie Markless, or however you plan on saying that. I will try to get these blogs up on the same day the episodes premiere. And so yeah, another thumbs up episode from me. And I'll see you folks next week when I don't know the title of the next coming episode.